What's up, Raider Nation? Coming up on this episode of the Silver and Black Lair, I will be talking Raiders offensive line. As over the next couple weeks, I'll be breaking down the offensive unit as a whole for the Raiders. So this week I'll kick it off with the offensive line, and we'll see what we got there with the big uglies. All right, stay tuned. I'll be back in 44 seconds. What's up, Silver and Black Nation, and welcome to the Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders edition. Raiders! What's up, everybody? All right. I hope everybody's doing well. Good Friday night, right? The weekend is here. The weekend is upon us. Beautiful weather everywhere. And let's kick this shindig off with a little bit of offensive line talk. So, the last few weeks, I've been breaking down the defense. I went through all the different levels. I went through the defensive backs, linebackers, D-line. So now it's time for me to flip to the offensive side of the ball. So I will do the offensive line. Next week, I will do the receivers and tight ends. The week after that, the running backs. And then the week after that, we will finish up with our quarterbacks. So we'll kick it off with the most important part of the offense, in my opinion, and mostly everybody, because you can't keep your quarterback upright. You can't run your running back through holes. You can't get the ball to wide receivers without the offensive line. So the offensive line, Raiders offensive line last season, pretty much, if you ask me, very much underrated last season. They didn't get a whole lot of credit, even though they were pretty decent, to be honest with you. They're pretty decent. We heard a lot about Aiden O'Connell being a statue back there, and also Jimmy G not moving around a lot, getting hit and stuff like that. But I mean, Aiden O'Connell being a rookie, his internal clock as to when to get rid of that ball wasn't quite there last season. So you can't really look at the offensive line there. You have to figure you're getting 3 to 4 seconds to throw the ball, and you're holding it onto it that long. There's going to be pressure. You're going to go down. The same thing, surprisingly with Jimmy G, granted he is one that does get hurt a lot. He's injury prone, but it seemed like last season as well, he just held on to the ball for so long instead of getting rid of it. And I don't know if it's just looking for the big play, or the receivers were not getting open or getting separation, didn't trust himself, whatever it was. I think a lot of it was not on the offensive line. The one thing that I did think was on the offensive line was the lack of a run game. Last season, Josh Jacobs holding out and then, agreeing to a 1-year deal with the Raiders before the season. Or no, I think it was the franchise. Was it the franchise? It doesn't matter. Deciding to show up to camp or whatever right at the end of the preseason there with the Raiders. So he didn't have a preseason, and just you could tell he was rusty. He was not himself. And had a really hard time breaking tackles last season. That was Josh Jacobs. So the Raiders' offensive line, they weren't really opening the holes that they needed to open for Josh Jacobs to really get him going. Occasionally, you'd see it once in a while, but for the most part, he was getting met in the backfield a lot. But by the end of the season, when Zamir White took over, Josh Jacobs missed the last 4 games, I think it was, of the season due to injury. When Zamir White took over, you could really see the offensive line really coming together. Finally, the last 4, 5, 6 games of the season, and really finally getting a push upfield, and kind of gelling a little bit. They had injuries throughout the season, a lot of different offensive line combinations, guys playing in different spots. But finally, at the end of the season, I felt like they were getting a decent push. Zamir White, for the most part, wasn't getting hit. As soon as he was getting the ball. He was finding the hole, was showing patience, and was able to get upfield a lot more near the end of the season. And Aiden O'Connell, when he finally got the start, when AP took over, finished the last, I think it was 8 or 9 games off at starting quarter as a starting quarterback. You can see pass protection wise, he had a lot more time, and he was getting rid of the ball quicker when there was trouble. So that helped the offensive line out, tremendously. But overall, the offensive line, I thought performed, fairly well. Again, underrated. Not really a group of star-studded names besides Colton Miller, and for the most part, they played very well. So if I had to grade them last season, I probably would have gave them a B minus maybe. For what they had, for what they had to work with, and what they had to go through, I thought they performed, decent, decent to good. I would say, I wouldn't hesitate if somebody said, do you think the Raiders' offensive line was good last year? I'd say, yeah, I think they were good. They weren't spectacular or awesome or nothing like that. They needed to get better, and I feel like they have. So last year, they ranked 6th in pass block efficiency and 14th in run block efficiency. Back-to-back seasons, they were ranked in the top 10, the offensive line. Now, I think some of that kind of blown up a little bit, but a ranking's a ranking. It is what it is. Last season, they did rank number 10 overall, but back-to-back seasons where they weren't expected to be all that good, to get ranked in the top 10 back-to-back seasons is tremendous for that offensive line. Their number one unit this season so far, according to the depth charts that I've seen online, is you're going to have Colton Miller at left tackle. You're going to have Jackson Powers Johnson, the rookie, starting at left guard, which I thought most people were thinking right guard, but right now he's listed as left guard. Andre James, who the Raiders brought back, which was, I thought, a fantastic re-sign there. Dylan Parham at right guard. He played left guard last season with Colton on the left side of the line with Colton Miller for most of the season. Had a tremendous season last year, I thought. And then Thayer Mumford. That's kind of one of the big question marks where we had a lot of rotation last season through the right side of the offensive line, whether it was Parham, Jermaine Ulemanor, or guys like that, and Ulemanor moving on to the New York Giants. It appears to be Thayer Mumford's job, but don't be surprised if he struggles, you see some rotation over, maybe even Dylan Parham jump out, or rookie Delmar Glaze. He might get a shot as well. 3rd round pick this past season. So, but the way it looks right now, it's Thayer Mumford's job. He's got to take it by the horns and make it his. He has to make it his. So we'll see what happens here. So looking at Colton Miller, he had an above average season last year. His standards, not great, but it's still a really good season for him. According to Pro Football Focus, he earned a 73.3 run block grade and a 79.3 pass block grade, and both were well above average for Pro Football Focus rankings, which is 70. Miller's 16 quarterback pressures were best among tackles with at least 700 snaps. This past season was his worst, actually, for Pro Football Focus rankings. So, like I said, since 2020, since he's come on, since the Raiders drafted him a few years, I think it was 2018 or 2019, the Raiders drafted him. He's been outstanding at left tackle. He's been our cog. He's been our key. He's been one of the best left tackles in the league. Absolutely, top 5 left tackle in the league. So he's been outstanding. The last season, some issues, some injury issues. Still had a terrific season. By his standards, not so much, but by statistical standards, had a really good season. And he's the key. He's the absolute key to our offensive line. And if something happens where he goes down or he takes a step back or something, we could see the offensive line struggle. So as he goes, we go. Got a comment here. Our boy Paul Spencer commenting on X. So all you Xers out there or Twitter, be sure to comment. You click on the live stream, then click on the video again, and a comment section should pop up. Paul says, "What's up, buddy? How do you feel now? How do I feel to see Alex Leatherwood twice a year with the Chargers. I'm ecstatic for it, right? So Alex Leatherwood, I'm sure you guys know if you're watching the show, you're probably Raider fans. The Raiders draft Alex Leatherwood at number 1 in the first round. I think it was 2 years ago. Made it one season with the Raiders, was absolutely awful. So the Raiders ended up releasing him. He signed with the Bears. Didn't stick with the Bears very long, and kind of jumped around to a couple different teams. And now he is on the roster with the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego. So yeah, let's see. It'd be nice to if Max Crosby get to see Alex Leatherwood or Malcolm Kuntz or guys Christian Wilkins. That'll be a good eating right there. So hopefully he's starting for the Chargers. That'd be beautiful. Sorry, driving home from Pittsburgh, voice recognition sucks. I get it, 100% get it. That's my boy Sean Lazarchik. He's always getting me with he does the voice text and stuff, and it drives me nuts sometimes. Like, what in the hell is he talking about? But no, I can figure out what you were talking about there, Paul. I understood it. Alex Leatherwood to the Chargers. The Raiders, if he's going to play, if he's going to get significant playing time, which I don't believe he will, the Raiders defensive line should be licking their chops 100%. So a big re-sign this past offseason was the Raiders re-signing of Andre James. Last season, all their centers, I believe, Andre James, I can't remember. I can't think off the top of my head right now who their backup center was. I talked about this months ago during free agency talks and stuff before the draft. But Andre James and the backup center were free agents. And I said my thought was that most likely Dylan Parham was going to move over to center. We'd have both guard spots open. I thought maybe Thayer Mumford might drop down to a guard, open up the tackle spot. But a great move by the Raiders going out and bringing back Andre James, because I thought he was very, very good last season, especially probably halfway through the season, probably right around, if it makes sense, probably right around the time that Josh McDaniels got fired. I really felt like he really turned it on and finished off the second half of the season really, really good. So I was ecstatic to see them bring Andre James back as our brain of the offensive line. The center is just such a huge position, huge part for any offensive line. Calling out plays, calling out on the offensive line calls for blocking schemes and stuff. Absolutely huge. So they signed him a couple months ago to a 3-year deal. And when they drafted Jackson Powers Johnson, who's was a center for Oregon, they called Andre James, said, "Hey, listen, this has nothing to do with you. We drafted him. We're going to move him to guard, but it's good to have flexibility at center with a guy like that." And I thought that was a great job by the Raiders coaching staff to recognize, hey, we just signed this guy. He's going to be a key piece to our offensive line. There's no need to go out there and make him think, hey, they signed me, but I'm going to be riding the pine or sitting, because, it's a second round pick here. So they reached out to him, they assured him, say, hey, you're the center. And, we brought Jackson Powers Johnson on to be an offensive guard. But still, in the back of his head, he has to know that Jackson Powers Johnson was a terrific center in college football with the Oregon Ducks last season. And for last season and the season before, he did play a little bit of offensive guard as well. But he was so good at center last season that that has to be in the back of his mind that if I do fall back some, if I don't perform the way I can, there is a chance that they could bump me back and move him up, and and that's always an option. That's why it's so important to have flexibility on your offensive line for injury wise. Offensive line's always getting injured. Guys rolling up on people and stuff like that. It's a physically demanding job. It's a dangerous job in the game of football, and so it's very important to have that flexibility. But also, if a guy's struggling, pull him out, or pull him out for a couple series, a couple plays. You can slide that guy over, move another guy over there, and not miss a beat really. So it's important, but it's also important for Andre James to know, hey, you're our guy at center. Let's go. He finished 2023 ninth among all centers with a Pro Football Focus grade of 74.6. And he only committed 2 penalties last season. So great job there. I'm pretty sure I read he only allowed 1 sack or allowed no sacks last season. I can't remember what it was. It was like 1 or 2 sacks, I'm pretty sure. So moving on from there, we have Dylan Parham right now. Like I said, right now listed at right tackle, right guard. I'm sorry, right guard. Whereas last season he played left guard. I thought he was going to bump over to center, but he was terrific. You know that left side of the offensive line when Colton Miller was healthy was studly. It was you knew that you were good on the left side. It was always the right side was kind of leaky. So he did a great job there. So they're going to bump him over to right guard. It appears anyway, according to depth charts that I've seen so far. I mean, again, we have preseason and stuff like that yet, and not even really close to having a solidified a depth chart. But the way it looks right now, that's where they have him. 5 flags all season. That ranked him 20th out of all offensive guards, and then he only allowed 1 sack as well. And he's coming into a contract season. That's important. Now, if he's able to continue his upward trend, since he was drafted in 2022, his rookie season, he got a decent amount of playing time. He played well. 2023 last year played even better. So if he comes into his contract season this year and, is able to take another step forward, he could be looking at a decent payday from the Raiders or from another team, hopefully from the Raiders. Thayer Mumford. So this is one of the big question marks coming into this season. At right tackle. He says he feels more comfortable at left tackle. But of course, we have Colton Miller over at left tackle, and he's like a stud over there. So I don't know why you'd want to move him. That's protecting the quarterback's blind side. You trust Colton Miller. Thayer Mumford, 7th round pick. He's performed well, when getting the opportunity. So I did a great job last season as a rotational tackle, like I said, with Jermaine Ulemanor, amongst others. Played in every game last season. I think he got a few starts as well. So started mostly at right tackle, but when Miller went down, he did go over to left tackle. And so he had him at left tackle, he had Ulemanor at right tackle, and they actually played well. I was really bummed that they didn't re-sign Ulemanor and have him as our right tackle. I really thought they were going to do that because I felt like he earned that. I felt like Jermaine Ulemanor kind of got a raw deal with the Raiders. I thought they would have gave him an opportunity to be that starting right tackle full time, but it is what it is. He's a New York football giant right now, and hopefully he gets an opportunity there. So Thayer Mumford did decent, did well, did get better throughout the season, especially when he got more starts under his belt, and I do expect him to kind of take that next step forward. Now, what that next step looks like, I don't know. Is it good enough to be a right tackle? Every play or every start kind of right tackle. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, we have a lot of flexibility on our offensive line and some decent depth right now with Andrews, Pete, and stuff like that. So I feel confident that he can get the job done. But if he can't, I also feel confident that somebody can step into that spot and really cover for him. So we'll see what happens with Thayer Mumford. I remain positive. We got a comment here from Eileen. What's up, Eileen? She says, hello, Eileen. It's Friday night. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for checking the show out. That leads us to our rookie, Jackson Powers Johnson. Super excited for this. The Raiders got him in the 2nd round, got him as a steal. They had him as their top rated offensive lineman. Overall in the draft, he was the top-rated offensive lineman, but tackle being such a higher need for a lot of teams, you had all those tackles go in the 1st round. Jackson Powers Johnson dropped back to the 2nd round, pretty much being like one of only like 1 or 2 centers that were expected to go in the draft. There wasn't a whole lot of center. There wasn't a whole lot of depth at center. But like I said, the Raiders drafted him. They announced him as a guard, not even a center. So there's that. And even the guard, there wasn't a whole lot of guard depth, I don't think, either in this draft. Tackle depth was huge, but guard and center, a lot of that tackle depth were guys that were listed as tackle, but could play tackle guard. So take that for what it is. So he was a 2nd round pick for the Raiders, Remington Award winner for best center in the nation for college last year. For the Ducks, he was their first Remington Award winner. He was an All-American, AP All-American, led all FBS centers with an overall 84.3 grade, run block rate of 85.2, and he ranked 2nd in pass block rating at 90.6. He allowed only 1 pressure last season and 0 sacks. He was phenomenal at center last year, but he also did get a lot of playing time at guard throughout his career in Oregon. The dude is straight up nasty. He's a Raider, a lifetime Raider fan. His family are Raider fans. I I think he said it was his grandfather. I'm not sure if it was his grandfather or his father had season tickets to the Raiders, and they'd go to Raider games and stuff like that. So he's silver and black through and through, absolutely 100%. Super excited to see this guy. There's two guys I'm really excited to see: Jackson Powers Johnson, of course, Brock Bowers, and Tommy Eichenberg. Those are the guys I can't wait to see out of this rookie draft class. I can't wait to see these guys play, see what they got. Now, Tommy Eichenberg might take a little bit longer, but Brock Bowers, who we'll talk about next week when I talk wide receivers and tight ends, and Jackson Powers Johnson. This kid is going to be special. He's going to be awesome. He is. I really do. I think he's going to be awesome. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's a perennial Pro Bowler and eventually All-Pro, multi-time All-Pro. I'm really excited to see this guy play. So looking at our backups, a couple of decent signings here. Andrews Pete and Cody Whitehair. A couple veterans we picked up through free agency. Looking at Andrews Pete, off-season depth acquisition. And also, again, a guy that can fill in and start if somebody's not up to par, somebody's hurt, can fill in at guard or tackle. He's played both. He's played both at a very high level as well. So that's exciting. Andrews Pete, when the Raiders, when I seen that come across the wire, Raiders signed Andrews Pete to a free agent deal. I thought that was absolutely huge. Three-time Pro Bowler at left guard, also played a little left tackle. Pass block win rate of 85.3%, 81% run block win rate through Pro Football Focus. Also, Cody Whitehair. He was an off-season depth acquisition, left guard and center. He played 8 seasons with the Bears. Kind of underperformed a little bit. I think he was drafted fairly high. They expected a lot out. No, I could be wrong. I think that maybe he was undrafted. I think. I don't remember. I remember talking about him when the Raiders signed him. Now I think I'm mixing it up. But anyway, kind of underperformed a little bit. Did get a ton of starts with the Bears, and they kind of let him go this season. And he follows Luke Getsy from the Bears to the Raiders. So a nice depth piece there for the middle of your offensive line. The Raiders re-signed Jordan Meredith as well. Re-signed him. He's a guard. So nice guard depth there again. And Delmar Glaze, another rookie, third-round pick. He was a third-team All-Big Ten selection. So kind of iffy on Delmar Glaze. I see it seems like a lot of people are very high on him. Coming out of the Big Ten, you're facing a lot of really big competition. But some of the stuff that I was reading, sometimes those bigger games kind of shrunk a little bit. Had a hard time with the inside rush, and of course, these defensive ends are nothing like he saw in college. So how is he going to protect the edge? So we'll see how he develops. We'll see. I'm sure we'll see Delmar Glaze. We'll probably see him a lot, especially being a third-round pick. I will be surprised to see him rotating in at offensive tackle, especially with Jordan Meredith, or not Jordan Meredith, Thayer Mumford. That's what I meant to say. With Thayer Mumford over there at right tackle. So we'll see what happens there. I do expect to see a lot of Delmar Glaze, but I'm curious to see how he develops and go from there. So we also got a new offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator Luke Getsy coming from the Chicago Bears. Run heavy kind of offense from Luke Getsy. And one of the biggest things that he's bringing with him is his base run blocking scheme is the outside zone. And this Raider offensive line, it's last year's Raiders offensive line, I should say, really did a much better job with the outside zone run blocking scheme than they did with the man-to-man blocking scheme with a straight up. So it's funny because you heard announcers talk about it time and time again last season. Raider announcers on the radio. I listen to a lot of the Raider games on the radio, talking about it. How the offensive line does much better with the zone blocking scheme, but it was kind of almost like a I don't think it was a 50-50 split. I think it was more man up, a higher percentage of man up blocking than it was zone. I mean, if it's working, why not? The coaches should be able to adjust to the players. The players shouldn't have to adjust to the coach. The coach should adjust to the players. All right, this is what's working. The zone blocking scheme's working. Let's run more zone blocking with the run. And it just wasn't happening last season, especially the first half when they're Josh McDaniels. The dude is just super stubborn. He'll never be a head coach again. So, I mean, with his hard-headedness and stubbornness and just stuck in his Patriot way and stuff like that, he'll never be a head coach again. And you've seen it. He pretty much stunted the growth of Hunter Renfrow, in my opinion. He ran Derek Carr out of Dodge, and really made Josh Jacobs look weak last season. And I think that's all on Josh McDaniels, if you ask me. I heard Josh Jacobs mention it. A couple offensive linemen then they're more comfortable with the zone blocking scheme. And why do the coaches not just go to the zone blocking scheme? They had it mixed into their packages because they did do some of it last season, but for some reason they'd get away from it and they'd run more of the straight up man to man. So it's exciting to see the outside run zone blocking scheme come back. Getsy ran that 70% of the time with the Bears. And the Bears were one of the best rushing teams in the league last year. Now, granted, some of that might have to do with Justin Fields, but even without Justin Fields, they ran the ball very, very well in the 4 games that he was hurt. The Raiders were 21st in offensive rushing success, but most effective when running the zone. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Stats don't lie. They can be facetious, but they don't lie. Especially watching it last season, it was obvious. They also have a new offensive line coach, James Craig. The Raiders' old offensive line coach went to the New York Giants. So we have a new offensive line coach, James Craig, who's an assistant with the 49ers offensive line, and they were one of the best zone rush teams in the league. So I expect to see a lot of running. I expect Zamir White to have a big year, and we'll see what happens. I'm super excited for this offensive line. I really am. I really like the way it looks now after the draft. And like the only part that I'm kind of iffy on is Thayer Mumford, but I feel like he can step up and he can do the job. And if he can't, like I said, Andrew Pete's right there. Andrews Pete and Delmar Glaze, the rookie. We'll see if he can step in as well. So very exciting stuff. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do my sponsor reads here because I have nothing else. I was talking offensive line, and that was pretty much the first two, the top 2 units there, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to go, third, fourth, backup. I'm not going to do that. Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In Cherry Hill, New Jersey, the offices are located on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the offices are located on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the offices are located 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. Or just call 1-800-HURT-123. So that's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. Head on over to monkeycoldcoffee.com for all your gourmet coffee needs. They have bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, toasted coconut rum. They have a Sumatran blend of medium roast coffee. They have an organic blend called Peru La Florida. And they also have a golden honey agave flavor. That's their latest flavor out there. And they're also selling barrel-aged honey at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Be sure to hop in and check out their swag shop. They got T-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, cold brew pitchers, K-cup adapters, and don't forget that sweet, sweet paradise rum cake. All that and much, much more at monkeycoldcoffee.com. At checkout, use that promo code OOTBSports for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTBSports for 10% off your order at monkeycoltcoffee.com. Coming up next week, check out Dem 215 Boys, as they will have special guest Tom Beebe on, father of Cooper Beebe, talking about Cooper Beebe's path through the draft to the Dallas Cowboys. Should be a terrific show. Coming up this upcoming Monday, you'll have the premiere of Inside the Octagon, talking UFC with Paul and Josh. That'd be 8:30 p.m. Tomorrow night, I will be live with the Atomic Drop podcast. Me and the guys talking WWE wrestling. So be sure to check that out as well. And next week, like I said, with the Raiders Silver and Black, I will be talking wide receivers and tight ends. So make sure you hop on, throw your comments out there. Let me know your thoughts on the Raiders offense, offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterback, running backs. If you even want to talk defense, I'm cool with that. Even though I just covered them before the last few weeks. Well, we'll talk anything Silver Black. We'll talk anything outside of Silver Black as well. We'll talk anything and everything, whether it's football, baseball, not sports related, music, whatever. I'm down for anything. Got a comment here. Eileen says, talking wrestling. Yes, talking wrestling. Yeah, it's SmackDown tonight. Just finished up at 10 o'clock. And we'll be talking about the kiss heard round the world between Dirty Dom and Liv Morgan. So that should be exciting. Good stuff there. So yeah, that's all I have on the Raiders. That their offensive line, besides being really excited to see these guys play, excited to see Colton Miller back 100% healthy. Andre James being brought back, I thought it was huge. Dylan Parham, is he going to play left guard, right guard? Last season he was left guard, did a fantastic job. But according to the depth charts that I've been seeing, they have him listed at right guard. They have Jackson Powers Johnson listed at left guard. But that right tackle spot, that's going to be the big question mark. Can Thayer Mumford do the job, get the job done, and not be a worry spot for the Raider organization and all of Raider Nation? And if, like I said, if he is, we have Andrews Pete, Delmar Glaze, and guys like that. A lot of versatility on this offensive line, which is huge, absolutely huge. All right, so that's all I have for tonight. Be sure to check us out tomorrow night with the Atomic Drop podcast, and I will be live next Wednesday. Back to my regular schedule. I missed the Batcave this week. Kind of got jumbled around, and I also fell asleep. So that's my bad. Sorry, Mets fans. I know you look forward to it every week. And this one would have been a doozy because I was pretty pissed off after I think it was Monday, Tuesday, whatever, the whole week after the Dodgers series. I was pretty pissed off. So it would have been a good one. I'll be sure to bring that piss and vinegar next week as well. All right. Thank you for checking the show out. Thank you for all your comments. Please like, follow, and subscribe to all Out of the Box Sports shows or pages, whatever. Check our YouTube out at OOT Box Sports. You'll be sure to subscribe to that. Check us out on Twitter or X at OOT Box Sports there as well. And myself on Twitter at SB_Lair_OOTBE. All right. That's all I have. And I will talk to you guys later. Just win, baby.